just taken off right from the station again for no reason whatsoever. Screaming and crying as if, I mean, these fucking riots we've got in this country right now, we're rioting over a man that was killed in another country, a man that was murdered in another country. Why the fuck are we rioting over that here? It's insane.
I imagine over the perceived injustice and intolerance that black people feel they're under, and this is how it's. Well, I mean, I know we've got total up and utter saying God Hayden talks bollocks, which people do when I don't adhere to their worldview. But, you know, I'm just not capable of being quite so fucking retarded as some people. We all do the same thing. We go, well, I don't think that's a problem. Now, look what's happening now. We've got Black Lives Matter. It's a simple thing to say, Black Lives Matter. If I say that now, I'm not saying nobody else's lives matter. Black Lives Matter, fine. That's their struggle, you know? Of course they think of themselves. So when people say, why did Jews always go on about the Holocaust? Well, why wouldn't they? That's who it affected.
Yeah, all the white
if you're the victim, if you're the victim of prejudice, you don't ought to start with, and other people are being victimized as well. You say, me. So I get it. It's fine. I don't have a problem. I have, you know, I mean, what happened to him in America was murder. But now what we have to do is canonize him. His grandma saying he was a little rascal. He wasn't a little rascal. He was a full-blown cunt.
Yeah, he was.
You know, he did home invasion and shit. You know what I mean? He wasn't a good man. None of that excuses how he was killed. But why do we have to canonize them? And we all do it. We all do it. Look how people are with Tommy Robinson, Saint Tommy. If he wasn't screaming about Muslim rape gangs, which is a legitimate concern, you would not scrape him off the bottom of your shoe like a dog turd. We canonize people. We give them greatness they do not deserve. And look, now we've got Al Sharpton at that guy's fucking funeral. A massive race grifter. Yeah. He doesn't want an equal society because he'd stop earning all that money. He's a grifter.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I don't think a lot of people really genuinely do give a fuck about George Floyd. I don't think they do. I think there's a lot of people who are seeing an opportunity for their politics to shine. I think there's a hell of a lot of people that just want to go outside. Did you see that? Did you see in America there was that race? You know, I don't know what it is over there, but car racing, but like dirt tracks or whatever. And they just held it and called it a protest because they're all that fucking because they can't go out because of lockdown. But if they have a protest, they're allowed to. So they literally all just sat there with the coolers, drinking beers, watching cars go round and round with the little sign saying George Floyd, and that was quite openly like not caring. You know, that was quite openly like just getting around the rules at the moment. But I think. Here's the thing, and they do pick it because it's like they'll say we live in a rape culture. They'll all be out protesting rape, but then you know when you talk about like rape in mixed changing rooms, that all goes by the by because at the moment by then the zeitgeist has moved on to trans issues or at the moment Black Lives Matter. It's the same, isn't it? If whatever they can grip to. Go on.
If I talk about Muslim rape gangs, you're racist, and I'm not. Well, what white people molest kids too? Yeah, they do. More of them, yes, because there's more white people. But I think you'll find per capita there's a great problem with massive grooming gangs amongst predominantly a Pakistani community. That's not me saying all Pakistanis are rapists. I'm just saying how it is. Racist.
Yeah.
No, facts are no good anymore. Facts are the enemy.
And you can see the lack of principle there as well because they get... You know, a similar type of person that will be like saying Black Lives Matter and then moaning about the phrase All Lives Matter, which, you know, there is an intellectual point there. The people are talking past each other a little bit, but they'll be like, fuck you and you fucking All Lives Matter. But then they'll be then hating Tommy Robinson for highlighting, you know, racial attacks against primarily white children.
Well, I think a lot. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think a lot of the people have a problem with the phrase Black Lives Matter. Quite a lot of them just don't like black people.
Oh, there's probably a chunk.
There's no fucking racism. It's not true. There's no systemic racism. There are problems.
There are.
And
I mean, but
a lot of black people genuinely feel disenfranchised.
Yeah, no, I
A lot
understand that.
of the situations that they're in are out of their control. It is more difficult for them to pull up their socks and crack on in life. Not impossible, but more difficult. But we're working towards that. And if they take to the streets to protest treatment, fine. Now, saying all lives matter is not unreasonable. Saying Black Lives Matter is not unreasonable. White lives matter. But as a white man, I can say white lives matter. That doesn't mean fuck all. Black people can let them say Black Lives Matter. Let white people say Black Lives Matter. We don't have to add something to it. I'm sick and fucking tired. And I'm, by the way, if people think I'm bought and sold on Black Lives Matter, the organization, just hold on 5 minutes. I've got something to say. We live in a society where you have to give disclaimers for fucking everything. If I talk about Israel, I must talk about Palestine. If I talk about Trump, I have to point out Hillary's no good either. I'm absolutely tired of it. Why can't I talk about one thing without being accused instantly being for it? Little Britain.
Yeah.
Little Britain, a show I've never really been keen on, was pulled from Apple TV, Netflix, and iPlayer.
Yeah.
If they pulled it because no one watched it, I wouldn't give a shit. If they said we're taking the blackface bits out, I'd think, but okay, whatever, fine. They've pulled the whole thing. So I've been saying this is dangerous. Instantly, everyone's, you're defending race. I'm not even defending the show. I'm defending a point, and they don't get it because you're not allowed to have nuanced thought. You're not allowed to consider other opinions. It's the very essence of bigotry, is not even entertaining somebody else's point of view. Nobody listens. Nobody pays any attention to anybody. I'm an opinionated prick like anybody else, but I always listen, because how can I argue if I don't listen? But they do. They pick their stance and everyone else is evil. Therefore, what's happening to J.K. Rowling is acceptable because she's bad, and it's okay for bad things to happen to bad people.
I think we've had years of people qualifying statements with, you know, like as a black man, you know, as a gay man, as a trans, pansexual, whatever, because people always make statements coming from that, certain people anyway, and that then has built that hierarchy, hasn't it? You know, the thing there, it's like the thing of like, well, what do you know? You're a straight cis man. You're a white cis man and all that, and we've just had it for so long now. Where, yeah, do you know what? I do want to hear your opinion as a whatever, but it was at some point we switched into the thing where like we kind of treat that gay person as if they're speaking for all gay people, or that black person as if they're speaking for all black people. And by the way, if you talk out of turn from the narrative, then you're not a real black, or you're not a real gay.
Oh,
or,
no.
You're
I've never seen the phrase Uncle Tom used as much as I have on Twitter. Never.
Coon as well. I see coon quite a lot.
Happy Dog here. Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter is like a fire in the zoo and only being allowed to be upset about the pandas. No, it's not. Oh. It's the pandas being upset about the pandas, which is fine. Would you tell Jewish people to stop banging on about the Holocaust because other people have suffered too? I wouldn't. Other people do.
I might tell them to stop banging on about the Holocaust, though, just on principle.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't imagine why.
It was a long time ago now. Just shut up about it. Just shut up. Get over it. Get over it. What, your grandma? Oh.
But what I am noticing is a massive uptick in anti-Semitism amongst the black community online. Because I put a post there about it, because it's nice to see such togetherness, because they can all get together and hate on the Jews a bit, which is nice.
That was a huge issue in New York, wasn't it? Massive. Like, it was building just before COVID hit.
The black Israelites.
Well, I think just the community in general, the amount of like CCTV footage you'd see of like, you know, the dudes with that, is it Hasidic, with the dudes with the hats and stuff, and they're just walking along and like 8 black dudes would just jump in and fuck him up. It was becoming really popular, and I'm not really sure why anti-Semitism, but it's just it seems to go hand in hand with a left it's
the most acceptable form of bigotry that you can practice. It's always been there ever since the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. However, it became this rulers of the world shit. David Icke's really keen on the protocols of the Elders of Zion. And, that changed the narrative, and that's what stuck, as if somehow, it's all their fault, really, the Jews. And now they're saying that the Jews are white people, yet the white supremacists don't accept that. I tell you, the Jews can't even buy a win, and that's something. It just bang a word. But we're talking about Black Lives Matter. I went and had a look at Black Lives Matter UK, the actual organisation, because whilst the term itself being used by black people or whoever doesn't bother me, because, yeah, fair enough, I get it. You're fighting against a perceived injustice. It's your fight. It's centralised on you. I get it. That's the phrase. I went to look at the organisation. I thought that must be much the same thing. It's the Marxist fucking handbook. It's actual Marxism. They want to abolish the police force. They've raised £750,000 so far. They want reparations. Now that would be interesting, because I might be wildly wrong here. I'm fairly sure the majority of black people currently in Britain their ancestors weren't brought here as slaves. Doesn't mean they weren't touched by slavery, I suppose. But also, who pays the reparations? Is it only the white people involved in the slave trade, or the Muslim people involved in the slave trade, or the African people involved in the slave trade? And if they say, well, it's only the people that benefited from it, so you guys,
all of us, then that's kind of my issue with the statues, man. I'd rather history was there. I'd rather it was there, warts and all, and we're all benefiting from it. We all learn from it. You can say, yes, Bristol was built by slave money, but it was also British sailors who were hated across the world because we ended slavery. And we need all of that there. I can't stand the memory holding of it.
It's the whole country just loved slavery and formed off it. Yeah, in Manchester there was a movement that helped win the American Civil War. Every country in the world has a horrific fucking history.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna,
the way of it.
If we're going to defend destroying things like that, and then, that's the exact same logic that leads people to attacking a mosque. Because you're part of it, or saying that all cops are bastards, and they deserve being attacked for it. Muhammad had slaves. Muhammad was a warmonger. So am I allowed to go to a mosque now and just pull the thing down? I mean, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. And I would say that there'd be a lot of Muslims that live a decent, caring life, and Islam is part of that. Part of the tapestry of their personality in that respect, you know what I mean? But the fact that their history involves slavery, well, not even history, it's still going on.
The Americans were battling Islamic slavers around the birth of America. America was battling with those guys as well. At that time, it was all kinds of shit going on. So no, I mean, slavery's still there, but what I've been told is only certain slaves matter. Not all slave lives matter. Someone said, should we pull down the Colosseum?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But someone said, but he was answered by a white man. No, because that doesn't represent the triangle of slavery. Like Africa, Asia, the West, that resulted in white supremacy. I think you'll find the very foundations for supremacy were founded with, at that time, the largest empire the world had ever seen.
Imagine defending the Roman Empire in that sort of woke manner like that. I mean, I would defend the historical artifact still being there, of course, but saying, "Oh no, that was a different kind of race," it's like a different kind of slavery.
That didn't result in white supremacy. Well, I think if we really want to go back, we can probably take it further than that. Genghis Khan. He introduced slavery to a great many, but slavery is always it's in the favorite book of fables, the Bible. They're very popular in there. It's always been there. We should be celebrating the fact that we managed to end the fucking thing. And if you're living a privileged life because it happened, that's not your fault. And the complaining that reparations are only just being paid to slave owner families. Well, there was no other way to stop it. What did you want them to do? They had a civil war.
Yeah, it was what it was. It was what it was. Yeah. Here's the thing about that in terms of America. The people really struggle to accept that it wasn't just a switch you could turn off. You were literally destroying someone's business their legally owned business, which involved, owning humans and working them. But to then look at all the parts that unpicked that, and literally cherry pick it to make you feel good about, oh, well, look at this. It's like the 3/5 thing, they're going about how they thought that slaves should only have 3/5 of the vote or some shit like that. That only came around to stop slave owners, like, basically just taking over the political system, because they just had a fuckload of people. That was the agreement, to stop them gaming the system and getting complete control. It was actually a positive thing, but obviously you just, like most things in history, you could just spin the subheader and go, look at that shit, fucking bullshit in it, and it's nonsense.
I really struggle also with applying modern, more progressive thinking to people that died 200 fucking years ago.
Of course.
I don't know how we can do that. I understand you might not want to celebrate a slave owner. I get that. And that's fine, but that should be a democratic process. Should we remove statues? It should be a democratic thing. We shouldn't tear things down, because mob rule, the people you really want to reach are the racists. You want to show them that you're people too. You deserve respect. And when what they see, they never see anyone that stands there respectfully. They see the people tearing down statues. They see the people looting. And they don't think, we better stop being racist so they'll calm down. They think, see, I told you, I was right. There's no winners in this. Because unfortunately, we can pass laws for equality. We can work towards enforcing those rules, and we should equality. I did say equality. But we can't stop people being racist by legislating them or browbeating them. We have to educate them. That takes a little bit longer, and I think we're doing better. We are doing better. I think it's not going to happen overnight.
Even the argument for equality is a dangerous one, because that comes from a time where there were laws, like they talk about redlining in the States and stuff, where the government refused to give insurance for black loans, basically. So, like, banks wouldn't give loans out because the government insurance only covered white people. And so when we talk about equality, we're like, that's what we talk about, people not being banned from buying houses in certain areas or getting loans and starting businesses and stuff like that. But I think the issue we've got at the moment, and this is the thing about the train, was almost coming to a stop, because we will never ever be equal. Like your kid and my kid have both got different starts in life. We can both try our absolute hardest, but we've both got unique things that we're going to give to our own children, and everyone's going to do that. And so there is no equality of opportunity. It doesn't exist. Your neighbour's going to have more money. The next guy along is going to have a contact at a lawyer's.
You can only legislate for the bare minimum of equality.
Yeah, but I think
you can't pay men more than women for the same thing at the same level. You can't pay white people more than black people. They're the sort of equality I'm talking about.
Yeah, but the problem is that's not what everyone else is talking about now. The conversation has moved onto the results. Look how many CEOs are X. They don't look at, like, how many successful musicians are black. Black people dominate the music industry, so that gets ignored. It's just
sports,
like those
in America.
So they'll only look at certain results that skew a certain way. More men are doing this job. More women are doing that job. Who gives a fuck? More men are doing this job. Therefore, equality. We fucked up equality, and it's really dangerous, man. Really, really dangerous. It's fucking scary.
That's what we do with all stats now. That's what we do with all stats.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
More likely to commit suicide, more likely to this, but what about that? No, never mind that. That's not the stat I'm talking about. I mean this stat over here.
Well, they get that. There's that white fragility book that's going around, and it's one of the first steps into this indoctrination of the woke religion, and it is literally just a whole book about, like, how black people are systematically abused and that you just existing as a white person are party to that, just by existing. And the whole thing is mind washing. It's a big fucking advert just to then go and give her another few thousand for one of her seminars. And the way it twists statistics, the whole book is a gross twisting of statistics, and none of it is intellectually viable in any way whatsoever. It is exactly the same as like the monorail salesman from The Simpsons, or it's just selling you absolute bullshit. It's race hustling, and these people have got. I worry because we're getting into that thing of the paradox of intolerance now, whereas I want those people to think those things. I want those people, even these religious woke lefties now, I want them to have freedom of religion. But I also want a separation of church and state. I also want the paradox of intolerance to be there. I want them to think these things, but right now they're shutting other people down in it, and it's getting louder and more oppressive and more authoritarian, to the point where the mayor of London is just proudly removing statues without any democratic process whatsoever. And people are just going, and I can see this style and this bullshit.
You see, that's the thing. When I complained about Little Britain, the first thing they all did was ignore my argument, which said, look, it's not about the show. It's the concept that we're deleting things because people are upset. Now, Little Britain, it had the blackface stuff in it, but I always thought racism had to do with context as well. For example, Black and White Minstrels, it's mocking black people. I get it. All right.
Yeah,
I don't think Little Britain were mocking black people. I know for a fact, Lee Francis, Bo Selector, he wasn't mocking black people.
He's crying was in now,
fucking tears, apologizing for wearing stupid. Nobody thought it was racist. Not even black people.
No,
black people were not so
on his show. They'd
black
stand there on his show as a guest, laughing.
Beginning of this, black people were not so downtrodden at the beginning of this millennium that they didn't recognize racism. And what we're doing now is we're getting into such broad strokes because people need more and more things to be offended by. It has to be an accelerated process. It's like Alex Jones. You mark his strange parallel, but you'll get it. It has to be ever more outrageous. You have to, if you want to continue on a certain trajectory, if you want to necessitate people to provide you the income you want from generating fear and outrage, you have to keep that going. And so instantly, because I said I don't like this, you're defending racism. No, not even defending the show. So I don't like think it's a show. I don't like the fact that you can just decide that's racist. Not even black people, just people. That's racist. It goes, what else did we delete? Well, guy from The Guardian, I compared it to book burning, and he said, no, it's not. And I said, well, obviously I'm not about the physical act. The thought process is very similar. No, that was because it was deemed to be dangerous, and I keep my outrage for more important things. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, but you see, that I'm outraged by what? Yeah. Because they're dangerous. All book burning happens because it's deemed to be dangerous. That's
of course,
why.
And that's what Little Britain is. And my problem consistently with all this is it achieves nothing good. So next, I imagine we're going to go after the jazz singer. That film where Robert Downey Jr. was black still seems to be causing a lot of problems.
Oh yeah, it still comes up, doesn't it?
And it's just this massive hypocrisy that it just fucking kills me. It's like Frankie Boyle. How dare you say anything about trans people? Dude, you joke about kids getting fucked.
I know.
I don't have a problem. I'm fine with that. But why all of a sudden is this one group?
Oh yeah, he declared it. Well, that's the thing to go back to Little Britain and all that. People are like, well, it's mocking black people. It's like, yeah, and what's wrong with that? Ultimately, what is wrong with
racist?
That?
It's just a grotesque character.
It's like if you're going to draw. So it's like, yeah, but they were mocking white people as well, yeah. You're not like
predominantly,
predominantly, and then they had black characters in it as well, and it's the same with Bo Selector. Bo Selector, he was mocking Mel C from the Spice Girls. It wasn't
Mel B.
Sorry, Mel B. Yeah. What's that? Oh yeah, they were sharing memes of Little Britain, weren't they? Yeah. There's no. Well, they all love Yorkshire tea now, don't they? Because Yorkshire tea told off someone for saying Black
Yeah,
Lives Matter. But a couple of weeks ago, a Tory minister was drinking it, and they were all like, "That's it now. I'm
cancel.
blocking." It's funny how none of them actually managed to block Yorkshire tea, isn't it? Because they all still saw that.
It's bullshit. They've been told to be outraged. They've been told they're all so easily fucking led, and they're on Twitter and they're looking for affirmation. But I noticed something interesting today. I just posted, I called some guy a smug, sanctimonious twat or something, because on the Little Britain one, he said, "Oh, here come the gammons." So I had to dig at him, and he had a pop back. And, you know, I very eloquently, in my opinion, dismantled him over a series of posts and proved that he was the bigot.
I did see that.
I did notice I got considerably more likes, and even the woke people didn't turn up en masse for him.
It's happening less and less, isn't it?
I think it is. Now's clearly my time to shine.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing, because, you know, and this is what's happened. This is what happens every fucking time, man. You know, people go, they're anti-fascists, and, you know, like they worry about fascism, and fascism is when the right collectivizes. Essentially, that's it. It's when the right-winged people get a collectivization sort of mentality, and it almost never exists without an extreme left. It's a reaction, because what happens is that you've always got extremes on both sides, always. And what we've got, and what has happened, and what is happening again right now, is people are being asked to choose. They're being asked to choose between these crazy fuckers. Seattle, they've just taken over 7 blocks, far leftists, armed 7 blocks, including the police station. They've just taken over the streets. People are having to put signs in the window begging to not be destroyed, right? So what do you get there? You get that, or law and order. That's all it is. You're going to get the simple message out of the right, law and order. But the problem is, because we're not having a reasonable, balanced discussion on anything, because nothing's being done in any kind of adult, decent way, the fringe radicals are coming up more. And that people are going to be more forgiving of that. And this is how we get fascism. Fascism isn't some horrible thing.
And also, how we empower those people is, it's not that the far right suddenly become attractive. It's that the far right suddenly seem far less aggressive to people occupy the middle ground. So they are pushed slowly into the arms of people who don't call them Nazis, don't call them monsters.
Yeah.
Go, do you know what? You're all right, mate. Let me tell you what the problem is here. That's how it happens. Everything's a reaction. Society always swings. There's always a pendulum. At the minute, I believe, fueled predominantly by social media standards of the last few years and techniques, which has amplified this tremendously. We're seeing a much more exaggerated swing than we've seen certainly in our lifetimes.
We've got Nick's just said that fascism and communism is when government power is absolute. Yeah, it's kind of what I meant about collectivization. So right now, the left and the right and everyone in the middle, everyone between, we should be debating and arguing every little thing. But what's happening? People call it tribalism and all the rest of it. What, you know, the danger of fascism is when the right does fully unite. You know, when and the left, you know, that should be a thing.
Oh dear. Oh, print screen. Oh, missed it.
What?
No, I didn't press print screen in time. That paused on the most beautiful picture of you could ever possibly imagine.
Sorry, but it is worrying though, because the right will win this. You know, the people won't accept. Well, you know, either the extreme left people will win, in which case they'll just be mass fucking deaths and horrible shit, or the right will. It's more likely the right will win. I mean, look at these riots. People, you go on social media and people are like standing up for it and everything, but actual opinion polls, when you actually ask people, over 50% of Americans wanted the army in, not the National Guard. They wanted the army in. They supported it. You know, because again, fascism isn't some horrible thing. When it comes, it's warm, it's safety, it's security. That's the point. It's like people embrace it. It's not crushed upon them. They you know, they clap for it as it's happening. The same with the fucking lefties. You know, that's the whole plan, isn't it? People don't fucking realize that it's not some, you know, Hitler and Mussolini and Paul Pot. All these people didn't come in with people going, oh, they were cheered in.
They were carried on the shoulders of their citizens.
And I will. If there's people trying to break in here, trying to burn my building down, you're damn fucking right. I'll be clapping the military when they come and clean it up. You're damn fucking right. I will.
This
there's the danger.
me about these calls to get rid of the police, which more and more people have just abolished the police force.